Chautauqua very late. It's English a half length in front. Can he do it? Chautauqua, he's flying. Yes, there's history. Chautauqua makes it 3 in a row.
Hello and welcome to episode, God knows, I think it's number 6 of the Pure Punters podcast. I'm Jared Smith, back in the chair again with Mitchie Cook, and we recap, as usual, last week's sport, last week's racing, and try and find you guys out there a winner for the week that's coming. Mitchie, great to have you here again, mate.
We're back, brother. We're back. Pretty good week overall, mate. Both ended up in the green, so that's all we can ask, and we'll move on.
Yeah, look, I think I was only like 0.8 of a unit up, but I'm just starting to claw there from the bottom, and we're making our way back. Look, we've got a really good weekend of racing coming up again this weekend. I know we're sort of lacking a bit in the sport, so we're gonna delve a bit deeper, you could say, to find a few winners for you guys out there as we go through those summer months outside of our main ball sports. But look, let's recap the weekend that was. We had Zaki and the Might and Power go down at $1.20. Rest in peace to the poor bloke who dropped about 89 grand at $1.20. What did you think of that race, mate?
Yeah, it was pretty shocking, mate. We've been saying for weeks that Zaki is not unbeatable. I think we said it after the last start. Nothing really ever took it on, but finally something took it on, and yeah, quite a few mates that are very against old Willow, so they got a good little bump out of that one. So yeah, I don't think it's a knock on the horse, mate. There's no real excuses for it though. People are saying it's a hard, firm ground. The thing's been running around at Doomben for its entire career, so hard ground is not going to affect it. It's a beatable horse, mate. Unlike Incentivize at the moment, which looks unbeatable at the moment, Zaki is very beatable.
Yeah, look, I'm glad that I know my place bet on the race got home. I thought I was going to be kicking myself there with a win, but probably she just showed the class. Like Jamie Richards, I think that was like his 27th or 37th Group 1 now, and he's only in his early 30s. Like him and the Tiakau stable together sort of just bring New Zealand racing to the forefront. It's sort of great to see him as well have that bit of success over here on the Big Island. I know the prize money is not what it should be in New Zealand. For the love and care that I know like David Ellis and the guys over at Tiakau put into their horses, and like New Zealand as a whole, they love their horses. I know like the Kiwi crew that I go the Golden Slipper with every year love them, and it's just good to see them get some runs on the board. But look, I think the opposite from Zaki was Anamoe. Like you can more or less write your own check now of how much money he's going to be worth at stud. We're looking upwards of 20 million, I'd say there. Really impressive in the Guineas. I know we were both on Artorias, but he just left himself too much work again, mate.
Yeah, exactly like we said it would be. I cashed in quite well on the place on the day. Again, mate, the barrier didn't help. We knew that was going to be the case, but the jump out didn't help either. Like, notorious for a bad start, but that was as bad as can get without not leaving the gate. I may sound silly, I may not. It still hasn't lost me. I am going to have a little futures play in it for the Cox Plate. I don't know if it'll actually race in it at the moment. But the 41-1, I'm willing to chuck a little 10 or 20 at it just in case she does end up there, or he ends up there. And yeah, $41 is too much, but Anamoe was running the day, mate.
No, I can take that tenner off you right now, because the stable have come out and they have said they're going to run him in the Coolmore. They're actually going to drop him back in trip than run him over it. So
well, there you go.
All those futures.
I'll give you that tenner, mate.
Yeah, all those future sort of plays for Artorias should be going towards the Coolmore down the straight.
Do you have odds on that one for the punters at the moment, mate?
I don't at the moment. I don't think he's open favourite, but I'd say he'd be in the market around the $6 mark to $8.
I'll tell you right now, mate. We've got Artorias at $7, mate, behind in the Congo and Extreme Warrior. Equal $7 with Paul Lele.
Look,
Paul Ely.
I called $6 to $8, and at 7, I'm pretty happy there. Sign me up.
That has my interest, mate. $250 a place. I will have a little hit on that if you've confirmed it's running in the Coolmore, mate.
Yeah, no, the Freemans did come out earlier in this week. I did read an article on, and they said they're gonna drop him back in trip more than extend him out. Which look, in the Blue Diamond last year over the 1200 sort of flew there, and on those tighter tracks like Mooney that he has been racing at, he sort of likes that sort of burst. And I think maybe if he finds that sort of bit of cover and a tail to find at Flemington down the straight, look, you never know your luck. But Profondo,
it does take the barrier draw out of it a little bit as well, which probably helps.
It does. He can sort of make his own sort of luck if he does become sticky. But someone who did make their own luck was Profondo, like I just touched on. Look, Group 1 winner now, third start, $1.9 million yearling. Yeah, we know it's expensive, but he's just paid for himself. And Team Lit, Robbie Dolan, all the crew there have done a really good job turning him into what he is. Like the sky's sort of the limit. I know he's going out to the paddock. They've said they're not going to be tempted in running him down at, like, say, the Cox Plate or things like that. They're just going to save him for another day in the autumn, which I think is a good move. Like you could see him in the QE or things like that come the Sydney autumn. Head of State was well backed as well. Disappointing. They did say cardiac arrhythmia. So look, there is excuses there for Head of State, but I just personally think that Head of State was never in the race, to be honest. How did you see that race?
Yeah, pretty similar, mate. Almost the exact same. Head of State just never did it. I think it drifted close to jump from memory. The punters come away from it and showed why, mate. So
yeah,
I didn't take a lot of notes out of that race. So it was just one to set and forget.
Yeah, no, I did the silly thing and took Profondo the tote, and I thought Head of State would come in and go the other way, but we ended up at 290. But hey, a win's a win. AIM was another.
Too many people are following you, mate.
The 6 people that probably had a punt on my tips would have really put the percent in that market. But AIM at $34. I know I was a bit bullish on him. I didn't back him though. He sort of blew him away as well. But other than that, my best bet the weekend in Queensland was disappointing. Look, was still green, but didn't really lead out like I expected from the barrier and the weights and the blah, 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 blah. But look, we move on to this week. We've got really good week of racing. We've got the Kosciuszko. We've got the Everest. Like we've got bloody, $16.3 million in 2 races in Sydney. And then you go ahead and throw the Caulfield Cup on top of that in Melbourne, and bloody hell, I tell you what, you could nearly afford to buy a 1-bedroom apartment in Merriweather with all that money. But hey, I think we jump into the Cosy first. I know it's a race that I've been keen on the Cosy for a long time. Like with COVID, like we've been pretty patchy of work, and I have been a lot of midweeks and a lot of provincial watching on the TV board while the missus is at work. I like Handle the Truth, past winner, 2019 winner. I backed him at, I think, $8, backed him again at $7. Now it's come in. It's $4.50. The other horse I know we spoke about on one of our first podcast edit, the Australian Bloodstock horse, he was really impressive at Tamworth at his only Australian start, just weaving through the field there and coming clear quite easily. That was without the blinkers as well, and Cody Morgan's pretty confident the blinkers will add a good 4 lengths to him. He did say he's a bit of a prick of a horse to train, and he he had like 20 stitches in his head when he was nominated like the fortnight before. So he sort of gets in his own way a bit, and he's a bit of a prick from stable reports. But Nataraja as well, that sort of boom horse that's gone around at Scone and blitzed the field a couple of times there in the short trips. I think we're going to get a wet track in Sydney. I think that sort of plays.
You don't say, mate. You don't say.
Yeah. Look, we have had 4 days of non-stop rain and all of that. And I think there's actually a bloody cyclone warning for Western Sydney at the moment. I heard on the radio on the way home.
Might be abandoned at this stage.
Mate, if, I don't know, nothing against Western Sydney, but if it took out a few suburbs, I wouldn't really complain. But look, I'm gonna have a good bet again at Handle the Truth. I know 450 isn't the money that I've had in the past for him. But I think Edits its danger. Art Cadeau, very good horse as well. Won last year's edition. But I'm gonna have fuck it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm calling Handle the Truth my bet of the weekend. There you go. You've got it right now. First tip, first best bet. I'm gonna have 5 units at 450. That's me. Full stop. Put the bloody fork in me. I'm done. There's my best bet. Actually, don't turn the podcast off. We want you guys to listen. But that's me. What do you got in this race?
You know exactly what I have, mate. I'm still riding that futures multi I've had on for months now. Unfortunately or fortunately, we're both on Handle the Truth here. Similar to you, mate, I've got it at $8, I think, 760 in the futures multi. So nothing has come out to deter me from it. Like you said, I am worried about Edit, especially being a bloodstock horse, and everyone knows my thoughts towards that. Handle the Truth is really going to relish this drop in class. Hopefully the track allows it to run on. That's my only worry. The amount of rain we've had and how heavy a rain we can get, I'm a little bit worried it won't find room to run on. If he does, Nash tends to find a way to get to the front. I don't think he'll sit him too far back. I think he will sit him about midfield. There's nothing for me to jump ship now and to ride that out. If that wins, I'm going to be one hell of a nervous boy coming into that Nature Strip race, mate. So I'm going to stick with Handle the Truth, mate. I'm going to have 1 unit on the win at 450 and 2 units on the place at $1.90.
Yeah, I think if Handle the Truth wins there, you're going to have a very, very nervous 90 minutes with the large futures multi you've had. We won't say the dividend, but let's just say it's going to pay for a weekend for all of us away.
Might not be here next week, mate.
No, that's it. We might be doing this from location. Who knows? But I just want to give a bit of a shout out to a local owned or part owned horse in that race as well, Spiranac. Some family friends of mine are in there. So Brucey, I hope Spiranac runs well, but for our sake, I hope Handle the Truth just gets the run. Let's go.
Settle for second, mate. Settle for second.
Yeah, look, Spiranac in second would be happy. But let's go to your other nerve wracker, the Everest. Why have you put Nature Strip on top?
That is a question I asked myself for many months, mate. You could go back as probably only 3 episodes and I'm there bagging the shit out of Nature Strip. I am the furthest from a Nature Strip fan, which probably should fill the punters with a bit of confidence. I've got him on top here. J-Mac on board. Couldn't have drawn a better barrier, in my opinion. He has the perfect opportunity here to sit behind Eduardo and sweep him late. Should be a soft track, could be a heavy. If it gets heavy, I'm going to be walking down the tab on my way there as long as Handle the Truth gets up, mate. It won't lose on a heavy. On a soft, it's run a 110 for the 1200. Nothing else in the race has run that except for Masked Crusader. The only horse to beat it over a 1200 at Randwick is second favourite, skipping me, Classic Legend. It's run a 108. That was on a good 4. So factor that in. Nature has also run a 108. I think it's split by a couple of milliseconds between them both on a good. But coming into a soft / heavy, everything is just leaning towards Nature Strip, mate. We got it at $5.56. It's into, last I checked, it's into 380 on some bookies. I'm still going to stick with it as my main bet. I'm going to have 2 units on it. It's still $4.25 on 365. I suggest jumping on that ASAP because it's 380, 370 elsewhere. The horse I'm worried about is Masked Crusader. Again, similar to Handle the Truth, you're going to need the track to allow horses to run on. If there's no run on in the track, cash your bets out before it because Masked Crusader is not getting close. Soft 7 over to 1200 with Berry on board at run a 110.8. I really do like the horse. It looked great in its last start. Getting $3.10 for a place. I'm going to take 2 units on that as well. So I'm going to have 2 units on Nature to win at $4.25. and 2 units on Mask Crusader to place at $3.10 on Sportsbet.
Yeah, look, Mask Crusader doesn't even come into my numbers, to be honest with you. I think its last up run was in.
Got that.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to get to the point. I think it was in a field that was weak and was made look good. It got runs at the right time. I think coming into the Everest now, it's a $15 million race. There's not going to be any gimmies and splits and all that kind of garbage that all parted the seas for the Crusader last start. I think Eduardo and maybe Home Affairs are going to lead it up. Is the way I sort of see the map running. I think, look, we've had Yes as a 3-year-old win the Everest in the past. Home Affairs, well, look, Home Affairs is in the race now. It's in the Coolmore spot, so anything can happen. But I think Eduardo last start when it rolled Nature Strip in the shorts, I think 1100 was sort of where he was at. I don't think it stretches to the 1200. If it stretches to the 1200, I think Mask Crusader could have won that. I think it was Mask Crusader ran into third. No, Gytrash, ran into third that race, which had no luck at all. But I think, look, Gytrash I really like, and I like on a heavy as well. The unknown's sort of the Inferno and Classique Legend for me. Inferno never running on an actual heavy. And Classique Legend, can Les Bridge pull a bunny out of the hat, not having the horse really first up for nearly a year. But it's sort of a hard one for me. Like the past few trials have looked pretty impressive. McAvoy's getting a bit of shake up, tried to sort of get it into race conditions, but there's a lot of horses in this race that are race fit. And at the end of the day, the big grey is going to need every ounce of like the last 80 meters, he's going to be breathing. And I think I'm going to hang with Gytrash here. I know the barrier does me no favors drawing the inside. And I know like sort of like Nature Strip I like as well, like drawn 10, so I can sort of sit behind Home Affairs and Eduardo if that's the way the speed's on. Where I think Gytrash might be that one extra back with maybe Classique Legend and then sort of Inferno behind them again. By the time, if we get more rain, it's going to be hard to make up that ground. Like you look at Red Zell, I think it was Heavy 9 on his second Everest. He just pinged and went and sort of played a bit of catch me if you can. I think Eduardo will look the winner close to home with Nature Strip. It'll just be if they can catch those pair. So I'm going to have 2 units on Gytrash at 750. And I think like it's just going to be a great race. Like you've got multi-million dollars worth of horse flesh in the race. Quality jockeys, Volandi's got 10,000 now on track. It's sort of the pinnacle outside the Golden Slipper for Sydney. And it's just growing in popularity as well. I think by the $1.3 million Cosy on the same day, it just sort of brings racing now to that sort of Sydney level that you sort of see in Dubai and like Japan for the Japan Cup and things like that, where people get this real vibe around town and things like that. But I'm going to stick with Gytrash, 750. I think the Inferno and Classique Legend are the unknowns. And I think Nature Strip sort of has that edge on them as well. It's going to be a great
punters, Jazza. For the punters at home, just as an added bonus.
Oh, here we go.
If you had to pick 3, give me your 3 numbers right now for a trifecta, and I'll give you my 3, and we'll have a little box trifecta for the punters. We'll upload on the socials.
Well, look, I reckon we do it, and I reckon between you and I, we have a 6-pack of Steel City on it. I know the boys are doing their big shout tomorrow afternoon as well. I think 4 to 5 in all venues that have got the old Steelies on tap. Freebies for all. So I reckon we have
every good venue.
Mate, exactly. We only go to venues with Steel City. But I reckon a 6-pack on it. I'm going to have, as you drink one there, we see. I'm going to have Gytrash. Let's go Nature Strip and let's go Ralph the Inferno. There you go. There it is. Boxed.
All right, mate. No worries. Just getting the numbers for the punters. Inferno is number 8. All right, I'm going to stick with obviously Nature and Masked Crusader, mate. Obviously not going to stick away from them after I tip them both. And then I'm going to throw in Home Affairs to hold on to that lead, mate.
I like it.
I think they're solid numbers. So punters for the box try this week between us, we've got 1, 4, 6, 8, and 12.
There you go. Put the house on it. Put the house on it. I'm telling you now.
You'll
Gamble
be buying a house if that
responsibly.
gets up.
Well, gamble responsibly. Only put your second house on it, but let's do it. But look, I think that weekend in Sydney, good. But then we go to like sort of the pinnacle for me outside of the Cox Plate and the Melbourne Cup. We've got the Caulfield Cup Day. Let's kick off with the Linghai Stakes over the 1100. I think personally, it's a very open race. How do you look at it?
Yeah, very similar, mate. Led to me not actually having a bet in this race. I do have a lot of time for M&A. Not in the best form, which is why I've stood away from it. Third up, 3 starts, 1 win, 2 places. Distance, 7 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. I was very close to having a play on it, mate. There was one horse at odds that really caught my eye, and that was Lashes at 27 and 750. A horse I've just got a lot of time for. Never does anything wrong. Yeah, they were my two, mate. M&A and Lashes, but I'm going to steer clear of any units on this one and sit back and watch.
Well,
I'll probably be nervous around that time waiting for Nature Strip, to be honest. So I don't need any more heart palpitations.
look, I think me and you'd be made for TV there because that just transitions perfectly to what I was going to say. I can just skip my spiel that I was going to give and just go to it. I'm with Lashes. I think.
I changed my idea, mate. I'm having something on Lashes now.
No, but this isn't even scripted. You can't write this kind of shit. I'm with Lashes, and for what you said, like just a very honest, reliable horse. You know what you're going to get each time. I know does come up against some. I'm not really going to say better horses because let's be honest. I was watching M&8 run round at fucking Gosford on a Wednesday afternoon, like it's first couple, and sort of come onto the Sydney scene with a boom, but then sort of fucking deflated like a bloody condom with water in it. But I think, yeah, Lashes, like Brett Preble's in form. Matty Smith always has his horses right. I just think like Rubisaki's there, but I don't know what's going on with Rubisaki. And she's like, oh, fuck, don't even start me. I've lost too much money on Rubisaki. But $27.07 a place. I'm going to have a unit each way. And that's, I didn't know what you were going to come up with for this race. But I don't know if I'm worried or happy or what I am.
Yeah, that is a little bit worrying, I think.
And especially at 27s. I know, yeah, like we just said, the same things. Like Rubisaki, I think, has the class on her day over them. But we haven't seen that in a long time. And that's it. I think I'm taking the 27s and 7s. Give me
the main red flag I found with Lashes that steered me away, mate. I'm still with it. I still think it's way over the odds. Is its Melbourne form. That was the only thing I found. It just tends to play up a little bit running that Melbourne way. That was the only flag I could find to steer me away from the 27.
Look, but if you ask the missus, I play up a bit when I'm in Melbourne anyways as well. So we're all bound to do it. But no, I love it. Give me mark it on the board. Give me a unit each way, 27s and 7s. Why the bloody hell not? Which sort of then I'm going to roll in. Excuse the French, but I'm going to the Caulfield Cup with Port Guillaume at $91. Hear me out. Hey, hold your fucking hats. Everyone, if you're driving, 2 hands back on the wheel after I said that. I've been with this horse since I watched its trial a few months ago, sort of the start of our New South Wales COVID lockdown. Ran really well. Sort of had excuses the first 2 starts, backs it again, last start for a place, did bugger all again. But I don't know. I kind of think they got incentivized at 20, like Drew Barry at 20. Delphi drew 19. Those are the two. Like I no knock on incentivized. I know I sort of had a bit of a knock on him like before his first start, But look, he's blown away and gone so much more than anyone could ever imagine. Like Delphi, great last start as well. I think is a real true Melbourne Cup contender. I'm only going to have half a unit at 91s, so let's just calm the farm. But that's my rough in the race. But I'm also going to back Persan. I had a bet myself on Persan last start. Sort of loomed up and had a bit of a look around, but hasn't found the form that he had last year. But I think now it's sort of the penny might have dropped after last start. And still, like I know, look, Melbourne, I'm backing something at 91, something at 27, and now something at 26. So I don't know what's wrong with me, what's in the coffee, but I'm going to have a unit each way at 26 and 650 on Persan. Like he's a true proven stayer. Went from a maiden to a Melbourne Cup in the space of 8 months last year. I think Incentivize is known, but it's way too short now. Drawing 20 with there could be like I know that Moody's come out and say doesn't have to sit on speed, blah blah blah. But I think it's going to be a lot easier if you are in that first couple of pairs and you've got 19 other horses inside of you, knowing that you're the real threat and trying to put speed on to hold you out. Sort of the same thing last week with Zaki, how our speed was put on there by the Lloyd Williams horse, which sort of caught him off guard. I think all the 19 horses inside Incentivize are going to try something to make his run more trouble. So I'm going to take Persan. Drew pretty well at 26 and 650 a unit each way. But then just, that half a unit on me old mate Manu and Port Guillaume. Just said it just for a spec at odds, that could just change the world. But what do you got in the Caulfield Cup, mate? Enough of my bullshit accents.
Well, the punters were almost literally having a heart attack, mate, because I had Persan in my top two here. I had to scratch it out purely because of staking some units over the UFC later on. But let it be known, Persan is in my top three for this race. Obviously, Incentivize is there. I still think Incentivize will probably win. I'm just not willing to back it at that price after drawing barrier 20, which sounds silly because the horse I've stuck with and was always going to stick with is Delphi. Was praying for a better barrier. I don't hate barrier 19. I'd put it aside, I'd rather it draw 19 than draw anywhere from 4 to 10. Just the style of races in. It wants to get up towards that on-pace position. She drops from 57 to 52.5 kilos here, which is going to be huge. 2 from 2 over to 2,400. That weight's the big factor for me. She was phenomenal last week. Didn't look like losing from start to finish. Turned the corner and just kicked away and nothing was coming for it. We cashed our tickets in at 300 to go. Gets a step up in distance, drops the weight, gets the best jockey in Melbourne on board. 1 from 1 on soft. The barrier is a sticky draw, but it's not enough to deter me. I have gone from being bullish on it to just being considerate, especially with Incentivize in the field, who I've been calling the best horse in Australia for quite a few months now. And I think you still owe me a carton of beer for that one. Just quietly.
Steel Cities.
Delphi, I'm going to have 1 unit on the win at $8 and 2 units on the place at $2.70, mate. Yeah. And that barrier draw probably helped the price stick because I think it would have been into about the 5s by now if it had drawn well.
Yeah, I will give our numbers nerds out there one though. We'll be riding though at 53 kilos. Ollie has asked to be allowed to ride half a kilo over, which I think is the first time he's ridden 53 since 2007, I believe. So it takes a bit there for the big fella to get back down now that he's getting on in years. But for your sake, I hope Father Time does turn back his clock there in weights and does something well. But look,
He'll be right.
That's it. We move on to the Caulfield Sprint. It's sort of a wide open race the way I'm looking at it. Give me your eyes because I'm a bit lost.
Yeah, I've actually, in a wide open race, somehow I've got myself to be very confident in one here. I've fallen on All Banter, number 7, mate. Over the sprint, I am not the biggest fan of sprints. We got 1,000 meters. It's only a Group 2, bit of a step up. All banner each way, mate. We got $10 and $3.10. It's going to be towards the front of the pack. It's 4 from 7 over the distance. It's 1 in its only start at Caulfield. Should be a soft track given the rain they've had. We've had 2 starts with 1 win, 1 second. It's done everything right. Its times are in the top 2 of the race. There was only 1 horse that beat it, which the name is skipping me, whatever number 11 is, mate. But not by enough to deter me. All banner to me should be top 2 odds on in the race at 10 and 310. 11 and 320 now. I can't pass it up. So I'm going to stick with it purely stats wise. I don't think it's in the best form, but it also hasn't missed a place in a long time. 1 unit on the win at 11 and 2 units on the place at 320.
Well, I did a bit of a fib there. I was trying to play you into saying I wasn't too keen, but I'm actually keen on one. I just wanted to see which road you'd take, but I'm taking the Oxley Road. I'm taking Oxley Road here. Peter Moody's horse. Fast horses run fast. Give me another cliche like that. Last start was very good. I'm going to say arguably a much stronger race. I think, especially just over the 1,000, I think Malkovich, sort of Will Clarken's horse, he's a bolter, and I think Oxley Road, they'll sort of be the 3 lead pair. Look, if they overdo it, I do see sort of like your kind of guys, like the Tasmanian Swats, those sort of swooping horses coming through. But I'm going to hang here with Oxley Road. I think over the 1,000 preferred trip, if it was 998 meters, I think it's the preferred trip, like would be ideal moral status. But at 650, I'm having 4.5 units. I'm going in. Chips are in. Oxley Road, Peter Moody stable. Look, hopefully for him, he goes Group 1, Group 2 in the same day. But I think 650 is too hard to pass up. So 4.5 units for me. And other than that, that's sort of all the racing that we're going to cover this weekend. Also want to give our thoughts to the connections of Triple Ace last weekend. I know, like, one of our favourite stables there, the Lees stable, unfortunately lost a really, really well-performing horse who was so consistent over his time for the stable and was well-loved. So we just want to give our thoughts to the guys there at the Lees stable and to connections, because it was a bit of a sad day there in Sydney last weekend.
Yeah, that was shattering, mate. I made it well clear on the potty last week. One of my horses I follow and have from its start. So I'd be lying if I said I didn't shed a tear, mate. That was it was hard to watch, especially when it was not its fault whatsoever. I got clipped. Its back left leg got clipped, and that's a terrible way to end a career and end a life, unfortunately. But
yeah, no, it's never something you want to see. But no, it's a bit of a somber note there to sort of finish our racing off the weekend. But I do think it needed to be said, as it's a horse we both did love. Not a Group 1 winner by any means, but they don't all have to be for him to get that little special place. But hey, look, on a brighter note, well, I don't know if it's brighter because it's always raining in England. We've got the EPL this weekend. I'm having a couple of little sneaky plays. I'm gonna have 2 bets overall for the weekend. But first of all, look, you're the round ball guy. Give me what you've got.
yeah, so we finally returned from the international break, which I'm glad for. No one needs to lose Maldives on $1.12 England to win legs. Just the 2 bets for me this week, mate. 1 single with a bit of value, 1 Maldi. My single is going to be, we've got City versus Burnley. No surprises. I'm sticking with my boys. We're a squad that deep that international break doesn't affect us. Without tooting our own horn, we can have all our players out on international duties. We can play our second string side, and we're still top 6 in the league.
And they still don't need to call you up. That's the most important part.
I know, right? Yeah, it's got to be soon.
Don't think there's enough strap and tape in the bag. I'll tell you that.
So Burnley are sitting towards the bottom of the table, I believe, second last at the moment. Haven't won a game. Not great signs. I don't like playing against Burnley away. However, when they travel, they're awful. City at home, we're averaging 2.1 goals per game and 10.6 corners per game. I usually like to play a little bit under the averages. However, I'm going to take a bit of value here, mate. I'm going to stick with our averages. So I'm going to take City to score 2+ goals and have 10+ corners. Quite a bit, but we're getting $5, mate, on Bet365. I'm going to have 1 unit on that. It's a lot to ask, but at the same time, it's only what we're averaging. So top 2 side versus bottom 2 side, I think we can get that. Second one, I'm going to go to a multi, which is going to stretch out over a few days of the league. We've got Brighton away at Norwich, who should win. Norwich are getting relegated. There's no doubt about that. Brighton continue to shine. They've got a few players out, so I'm a bit worried about taking them to win. However, they will still score. So I'm taking Brighton to score. We've then got Leeds, who take on, Leeds versus Southampton. Southampton are tough to travel to at times over the years. I don't think it's the same this year, which is a bit ironic after City had a 0-0 draw with them earlier in the season. I was originally going to lean again with Leeds head-to-head or draw no bet over the $2 mark, but I'm just going to take them in this multi just to score a goal. Leeds can score. There's no doubt about that. It's them defending that tends to worry us. And then to round out that multi, we've got Arsenal versus Palace in the last game of the round. Arsenal have hit form. They're back, blah, blah, blah. Say what you want. I don't give a shit. They're not great. Either are Palace. Palace are better than what people give them recognition for. Palace and Aston Villa are my 2 dark horses of the season, and you will see me have them in my multis and bets quite a bit this season. They're not going to win the league. They're not going to finish top 6, but they'll both be pushing that top 10 position, and the bookies just continue to underrate them. They've got a solid midfield. Both have stars up front. Zaha is a freak. One of my favourite players in the league. Palace to score is $1.60 alone. So Arsenal can still win if they want, but we're seeing Palace to score, mate. So they can Brighton to score, Palace to score, and Leeds to score. They're getting $2.60 on Neds, and I'm going to have 3 units on that, mate. And that rounds out my EPL. I'm very, very intrigued to see what a man like you that's never stepped foot onto a field with a round ball to what you're going to tip the punters into this week.
Mate, I think you're forgetting, though, about my, do we call it immortal?
Yes.
My
Sorry,
immortal
I don't know.
5-a-side season?
I believe your nickname was the Awkward Giselle or Awkward Giraffe, one of the two.
I actually think it was the baby giraffe, but we don't know.
That's the one.
We don't need to delve into reasons why. I think it was because I had a really long neck and could head the ball well. But look,
yeah, we'll stick with that, mate.
With
Nothing to do with the limbs down lower.
Oh, look, my third limb? No, who knows? We won't even go there. But look, after my immortal season down at 5-a-side there in the team locals only, the originals, I scored goals with left and right feet. So I think I'm well versed to actually talk on the EPL, mate. I wasn't the one walking around whinging that my players weren't that good. I just got out there and did it myself. So on that note, Burnley can't get out of their own bloody way. I'm taking a little 2-leg multi in the City Burnley game. I'm taking under 1.5 goals in the first half. So I'm banking on City just to score 1 and Burnley to sort of get their 2 left feet caught in the way. But City to win the second half as well. So I'm saying I'm going to call the score right now for 3-1. And I think it'll be 2 goals to City in the second half to Burnley's 1, but City only to score 1 in the first. But look, I'm going to just have 2 units at $2.37. I think it's a nice little double up, a bit of a throw at the stumps. And I'm also going to have another one here. I'm having a 3-legger. I'm going a bit rough. I'm a bit unknown this weekend. I've sort of I'm taking things wide, and it's not normally me. I normally like to stick in my lane and keep to myself, well, unless I have a few beers. But I'm gonna
Have
take.
karaoke on a Monday night.
Look, we've all been to the Kent. We don't need to worry about that one. But I do love a bit of Jack and Diane. But look, I'm going to take United to win against Leicester. I'm going to take Chelsea to win their match also. But here's the other. Here's the moneymaker. I'm taking a draw in the Villa and Wolves game. Look, you're the numbers guy. I'm not the numbers guy, so I'm just saying it's a gut. I'm going the gut instinct here, but for $10.88 for those three, I think 2 out of 3 quite there is doable. I think just like a nice 2-2 draw there in the Villa game would be quite nice for me. So I'm just going to have a unit there at 10.88. And that's the expert analysis for the EPL this weekend. I think maybe next week we start like a Smithy's Corner or something like that. I can break down the guts of the EPL a bit more. Which Arsenal player's mistress was caught at the game or things like that.
We might even get you out on the pitch, mate. We'll get you out for the punters can get a live stream of you slotting a few of these right and left foot you've been telling them about.
Exactly. Whose WAG has the highest allowance at Chanel for the weekend? That's sort of the things that I'll delve deep into. But I'm going now. Look, once I finish this, I'm going down the pub. And if there's one thing that I think is going to happen at the pub this weekend, it's a bit of a brouhaha now that everyone's out. The rums are being poured. Drove past the Prince the other day and there was 50 blokes there, all in white T-shirts with skinny jeans and Converses. So I'm going to go to the UFC before you do. I'm only going to have one bet. Someone who sounds like they should be Curse's love child, Aspen Ladd, comes up against Numa Dumont. I think Dumont will win this in a very boring one by submission. $8, 1 unit. There you go. That's me. Lock it in the bag for the week. You give me your actual expert analysis.
Yeah, well, look, I don't think Ladd's ever been taken down, never alone submitted, but all credit to you, mate. If that happens, I'll eat my words. Just the one multi for me this week, mate. It is probably the worst card of the year. I don't have any insight for any of the punters. I don't know any of these fighters. I don't know any of the teams they've trained at. I've got nothing. Watched a bit of tape on Brandon Davis, mate. Fights out of American top team. So probably the only fighter on this card that actually comes from a good team. His last 2 losses were against Giga Chikadze and Zabit Magomedov, who are, I don't need to explain. They're not bad losses. He comes up against Baccaral, who his wins are over. I think he's only lost 2 fights. He's 9-2 or 11-2. His wins are over no one. Davis is incredibly durable, and somehow the bookies have him at $2.50. Davis was cut by the UFC probably about a year and a half ago from memory. He kind of just disappeared. He lost 1 or 2 fights and no one heard anything about him. He went to the Gulf Coast MMA scene or something like that. I thought it was the Gold Coast when I first heard it, so I was pretty excited to see him, but it's the Gulf Coast, which does not sound anywhere near as interesting, but I have a feeling he made a lot of money being in that UAE. So he comes back to the UFC now, new man. He's teamed up with DC, an American top team, to work on that wrestling. His only weakness is his takedown defense, which obviously he's been working at ATT. But Baccaral has a 0% takedown accuracy in UFC. So that's not exactly worrying. This could be fight of the night. Both fighters like to stand and bang. Shout out Bang for Bang for the new year this week, by the way. I take Brandon Davis here, mate, at $2.50 in a multi with the women's co-main. We've got Fiyero versus Silva. Fiyero's on a 9-fight win streak. Honestly, she looks like the better card. It was going to be my Flix 50 leg, but I wanted to juice that up a bit, which we'll get to. Absolutely unbelievable kickboxing. Her head kicks are phenomenal. Silver likes to press forward, shoots in for the takedowns a lot, but she loops her shots. She really telegraphs them when she comes in and really easy to pick apart. And Firo has shown that she can piece you up if you do that. I think Silver's biggest strength is going to be what brings her undone against Firo. Firo should just catch her on one of them shots. If she doesn't knock her out, she's going to land the biggest strikes for 3 rounds. Firo is unproven on the ground. That's the only worry I have from making this an absolute moral. But Silver hasn't shown anything yet either in takedown wise. So there's nothing for me to be worried about yet. It could come next week and we figure out that's why Firo was $1.50 because she has no ground game. But yeah, I think this will stay on the feet, mate. I think Firo could get like a second round finish, but either way, I think she wins by decision. So I'm going to have 2 units, mate, at $3.90 on tab on Davis into Firo.
Look, I think I like it, but I think if we're worried about Davis's takedown avoiding and defense, I think we just give him a couple of cheeseburgers and watch DC try and take him down. I think the big fella there needs to lay off the cheesies, to be honest. But look, that's a bit of a wrap of the week that's coming. We've gone pretty.
I have one more for the punters, mate. Sorry, I forgot to drop this in here. I've left 1 unit spare because of all the winners we give the punters, all the losses, all the winners. There's one thing that I've had quite a few mates tail more than anything else. Even though we're yet to pull one off, we've had 2 one-leg losses, and that's the Mitch's weekend-long multi.
Oh, hold on. We need we need a late mail button. I need late mail.
We need a little. We'll get a graphics guy one day, mate, and you'll be dropping things in everywhere. Don't you worry.
If this bloody,
I've left a unit spare, mate. I've left a unit to go from Saturday right through to about 4 p.m. Sunday. And then hopefully the punters don't have to work next week because they've won that much, they can take the week off.
Fuck, with 1 unit.
We're going to stick with
this with 1 unit.
Well, it depends how big your unit is, doesn't it?
Well, look, it's not the size of the unit, it's how you use it. I've always been told, all right?
I'm glad you've been told that. So, first leg, mate, we've gone Nature Strip to place. Still think it wins, just playing it safe. Into Delphi to place. So they're our 2 horse legs.
Yeah, I'm there.
Then gone into 4 overnight EPL legs. So we've gone Liverpool versus Watford, over 1.5 goals. Leicester versus United, both teams to score. City to score 1+ and 7+ corners. I touched on what I think will happen, so that's just scaling it back a little bit. And Brentford versus Chelsea, over 1.5 goals. Going to round out the multi with the UFC on Sunday. So hopefully we wake up Sunday morning and we've got 1 leg to go and we can probably have a little hedge because it's women's UFC and we know what happens there. And we're going to stick out with Firo, mate, just to win. That's to round it out. We're getting $23.50 on 365 for that one. It's going to have 1 unit on that.
Very nice. I like it. Look, but seriously, any of those wins don't really matter unless we can get this bloody Flukes 50 home.
Well, someone needs to pick their game up. Let's just add that.
I'm not pointing any fingers, but I just want to win. I'm sick of fucking 1 out of 3, 1 out of 2.
Who's just out of curiosity for the punters, who's that solid 1 that's always consistent in there?
So my leg.
No answer? Yeah, okay.
No, I'll just give you my leg this week. I think that says enough.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm sticking big with Handle the Truth. I think I keep going to Queensland for my best bet, and Queensland's doing jack shit. So I've been keen all this time now on Handle the Truth. I think if I'm going to grow a set, I'm going to stick with. So $4.50. There's my leg. Do what you like with it. But I think if I don't get up this week, I think it's nearly time to hand the microphone in for me. I think you might be looking for a new co-host. But hey, I got $4.50. What are you giving me?
Yeah, look, mate, I'm glad you've gone with a bit of value again because if you're going to lose, I'd rather you lose on a $4.50 than try and play it safe for $1.45 like the other week and still not get the punters a win.
Space boy.
Lucky for you, I would Bosnian guru Dino also decided to join you on the bench last week. So I was left alone once again. I've gone for a little bit of UFC value, mate. As I just touched on, I'm going to stick with Brandon Davis. He may lose the first round, but he's got the durability and the fitness to take over Baccarel in the second half. If Baccarel comes out and has somehow gone from 0% takedown accuracy to, I don't know, Khabib, then we're in trouble. But I'm going to back on that not happening, and I think Brandon Davis should be favoured in this fight. 250 at the moment. I would be very surprised if you can still get $1.90 come Sunday. Pretty easily persuadable markets in the UFC. So after a couple of bets off people I won't mention, I think Brandon Davis will be close to favourite come start time. So we're going to hand on a truth to win into Brandon Davis to win his fight. Just a two-legger this week. We are, unfortunately, after a loss last week, we had to sack the guest this week. So we're just sticking to us two.
Budget cuts.
Budget cuts. We need a win to be able to pay these guests.
I need surplus.
So we're using Sportsbet for this one. We've got $11.07 unboosted. And for us fortunate ones, we've got $12.01 boosted, mate. So a nice little 600 return for our 50.
Fuck, I tell you what, I'll be taking that straight down the bowling club come Sunday afternoon if we do get it.
I think I will see you on Saturday now that we can, mate. We have quite a few good races to share a beer over.
Mate, exactly. I think sit tight, everyone, because you are going to get the first podcast with both of us in the same room. I know. Will it come to blows? Will the gloves come off? Who knows? You'll just have to tune in.
It may have to be a Friday Arvo potty next week or the week after, I think, for the punters.
Exactly, guys. We're gonna push it back and we're gonna turn it into a bit of a brew fest. We'll put it up live as well. So you'll see me pick my nose a lot more and Mitch just do whatever he does.
Take many trips to the fridge.
Yeah, his little corner there. But look, don't forget, guys. I know we keep plugging it, but they're our local beer, Steel City. They've got the Great Shout coming tomorrow, 4 to 5. Get around where you can. Always gamble, drink responsibly, all that stuff that we do have to touch on. But I hope we find a winner this week. I look forward, Mitch, to doing it with you next week, not over this Zoom garbage anymore. And we can sort of have a bit more of a laugh and test our bad editing skills out to the max there. But good luck this weekend, mate. I'm going right now to Lowlands for a frothy. I hope you're doing the same there with dinner up in the sticks. And look, we'll catch you next week, guys. Enjoy. Good luck. Farewell.
Catch you next week.
Hooroo.